everyone, welcome to another NASCAR Thunder 2004 modding video. This should be a pretty quick one, but I wanted to go over painting, well not painting, but a couple of custom cars I added for the 91 pack. There's also a separate download in the description if you already have the 91 pack, so you don't have to re-download everything. But I added some paint schemes for players to use with some cars that didn't quite make the cut. They were a couple of one-off paints so these are real-life paints for the most part. That did either attempt to run or did run a cup race in 1991, but I either didn't have enough reference photos to do the full paint, or because it was a driver that only ran one race, I didn't bother to make a paint for a one-off sort of situation. So I did kind of a little bit of a quicker slap together version of them, just for you guys to have paints to start from. So they aren't one-to-one, all of them. They aren't 100% perfect versus the real counterparts, but they are pretty good paints nonetheless. In case you want a custom paint, you want something besides what the game gives you, and you want a 2-digit number and that sort of thing, and you don't have paint talent or time or whatever, or you didn't get the paint tool I have already available for you guys with the other modding stuff, that separate paint tool I made, that 157 paint shop. I didn't get the 1991 stuff ready for that yet either. That's going to be an undertaking to port all that over. But anyway, regardless, I just want to go through this quick with a free application. So the free application you should use for this if you want to customize these further. I left the sponsors out intentionally so that you can slap on whatever sponsors you have in your career mode. So I recommend for a free application GIMP. Just search GIMP paint program or whatever. It's actually GNU image manipulation program is the full name. But if you search GIMP on GIMP paint program on Google, you'll find this one. Just download the latest version. So in the 91 Cup pack, I've added PSD files for the different manufacturers. Now these are not these paints that I just showed you. These are just blank. I'll just show you one. They're blank layered files that you can paint. One important thing, this applies to literally everything in this video. If you do you paint a car from scratch, or you add your logos, actually you don't need to do this if you add your logos to the existing, but if you paint a car from scratch, just make sure this, it shouldn't say copy of, but delete these areas on final. So this is the area that needs to get deleted on your final colors and shapes and objects and whatever you draw. So what you should do, I don't know if it works in GIMP. I've not tried it with this program. Okay, so if you use this fuzzy select tool, the magic wand tool, and you click in the gray area with this layer visible, and then you go down to your raster layer, if you press delete, it'll clear out that area that was selected. You have to do that to all of your paint layers to leave the wheel wells empty for any cars you paint. Shoot, this is the wrong, oh no, it's not the wrong one. You also have to select the windows, which you could hold shift and select all those. And then go back down to that layer and delete them. So that way, what you import in the game, I keep hitting the wrong button, I'm used to a different paint program that I use. But when you go into the game, you'll see, you'll actually have the windows semi-transparent, and the wheel wells will be cropped out properly, which only matters for cars in your mirror or really far away. The lower res models use that part of the texture, so it has to be clear. But yeah, so that's the final step for paints. I'm not going to teach how to paint today. I'm just teaching you the final step with the paint templates. So on the player tab, in this main folder drop down, you'll have 1991 as an option if you put these in the correct folder. And you should have default, the 39, the 59, the 85, the 91. So you'll have these different paints here, but what I'm going to show you guys is when you run career mode, you could run these if you don't have a sponsor, or you can customize them by slapping on a couple logos. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that real quick in that free paint program GIMP. So in this folder, once you install GIMP, you could fire it up, and in each of these folders you'll see a PSD file. Now my program doesn't use the PSD file, it uses these PNGs. And what you want to do is open GIMP and open this PSD file. Oh, it apparently puts it on top of that. Okay, make sure there's nothing open, and then it should open it. Okay, and somewhere there should be a layer that's called like decals below Windows, and then there's one up here that's like decals above Windows. There might not be. You want to put it, I mean, you could put it above the shading, but it should be below the shading, but above this right here, because this is our window outlines. So if you want logos on top of the window itself, some cars do that did that back in the day. But either way, decals below Windows, you could do it right here on this layer. So you could add layers, but I'm not going to get into how to do all that. So just click on this one, and if you go over to your into NT04 data sponsors 1991, you'll see all the sponsor logos that are in the game. Now some of these aren't, like the Kool-Aid one is not cropped really well, so some of these aren't super great for this application, but plenty of them are. So let's just say in the game you get sponsored by DuPont, then you just drag it into this paint program. Oops. And okay, so you have to be careful about where you click in GIMP because their moving tool works differently than what I'm used to. You have to actually click directly on somewhere on that logo to be able to get that object. So the way you rotate in GIMP is you hit Shift R and then you type in your angle. So we're going to do 90 degrees and hit rotate. And then resize is Shift T, which will be the scale. You could change that to %. It's a lot easier to understand percentages, I think, than pixels in this, but make it a uniform amount both directions, and it'll show you a bit of a preview here to what size it's going to be. I'm not going to do it perfect here. I'm just going to show it as is, but so that's a little big for the hood, but it you could just, you know, undo that and then Shift T and get the right size. So we did 60, so probably 50 is fine. You could also lock these right here so that when you change one, they both change automatically. But now we got our logo, and we could put that right on the hood. And you could do that with all of your sponsors, whatever sponsors you gained in the game. And once you put all those logos where you want them, so you're going to go File and Export, and then go ahead and select that car PNG. And this should already be by extension, so whatever you select is what it's going to save as. And then you hit Export. Go ahead and hit Replace. These I'm not going to mess with. They should be fine as is. If anything, maybe turn the compression level down if it turns out low quality, because the less it's compressed, the larger the file, but also the better the output. But it should be fine with the defaults for PNG, I would think. We'll find out in a second here. Yep, so that seems fine. So you can see it now has the DuPont logo on the hood. Now the one thing you want to do, I made a copy just so I have a backup, but one thing that's really important, when you replace this car PNG, the car medium and car small, go ahead and delete both of these, because otherwise when your car's far away it'll use those other size textures. And you could replace them as well, but you'd want to resize the image and all this extra steps. But the mod tool itself creates those files if they're missing. So you only have to replace the car, delete the car medium, delete the car small, and then you're good to erase. As long as you regenerate textures through the mod tool, you'll be good to run that car. And there's a couple more steps. We'll go over them in a minute. But I just wanted to note that that's all you have to do for this stuff is just to replace those. Same with the pit sign and wall. This one I just want to show you guys. Let me close this. So the pit sign and wall, this area, it's one file for the actual pit sign on pit road and the banner that goes on the wall and on your pit box. But you could put logos here over top of this and save that out as well, just to keep them from going to your pit sign, unless you want to slap a logo on the pit sign, but then you'll have to do some extra editing probably to get rid of the number. So now you'll see on the player tab that when I switch over to that 37, it has that DuPont logo on it. But you go ahead and General tab, you select what pack you want. You'll want to double check it has that paint after you make the pack. Also, in-game car model, make sure that's set to Chevrolet. The manufacturer only matters for the MRN callouts, but I don't know that they mention the player's car. I guess they do mention the player's car in the lineup. You make sure your displayed car number matches what's on the car. So this is 37. Your name here, info. If you want it, if you apply this for season mode or race now to play as this car, then you want to fill this stuff out. And if you let the AI drive a car in season mode or whatever, or any mode, then you would apply it to season mode, and this car will have these ratings and race in whatever modes you want. It'll race in everything. But applying for career mode is what I'm going to show today, because this one has a couple extra steps. When you finalize pack, when you generate paints in PNatch, this will spit out your player car as the items for career mode. But you don't have to redo the paints in PNatch if you are just updating your car. You actually can click this button here that's generate player paints. So I'm going to just click that one. So once you've generated those paints, you navigate to your replacements folder, NT04 pack player. If you made an NT04 pack one, you might just see player here depending on where you put your textures. But you're going to see some files to rename is what they're all called. So you actually have to fire up the game. You also want to double check that your paint scheme's set to a Chevy in the, oops, not in the colors, but in the car option. You want to make sure it's set to a Chevy, because if it's anything else, it's not going to fit. So make sure it's set to a Chevy. So once you're in career mode, you'll see your new car numbers set at the top. And I know it says Gatorade, that's just because that's what sponsor I have in career mode. But you'll want to go to the race weekend, and I'm just going to quick select here. Now, the paint scheme will be in that menu, in the career mode menu, automatically. But I recommend actually going out and qualifying to do this, because otherwise you'll end up with extra files. But switch to an out of car view, and you'll see it's whatever my current paint is in career mode. And stop somewhere near the end of pit road, like where your pit stall would be. Where is my pit stall? I mean, you don't have to. As long as your pit stall's in sight, you're fine. But I don't know where mine is. I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay, 107's over there. So you want to stop preferably somewhere near your pit stall. It doesn't have to be perfect. And go to Settings, Game Properties, then down to Graphics, Texture Replacement, and you want to check Dump Textures for like a few seconds, and then uncheck it. Make sure you uncheck it, otherwise this is going to fill up your hard drive with a bunch of images, and the game's going to bog, and you're going to have problems. So make sure you uncheck it completely, and by that I mean this is still potentially checked. This filled box. This is definitely checked, and this is definitely not checked. So make sure it's empty, as I have it here. Once you do that, I'm going to open that replacements folder. You could make a new window, Control N, opens a new window in the same place. So I'm going to go up a couple folders. So you can either do that by clicking this up arrow, not back, but the up arrow, or you can click on the SLUS folder. And you want to navigate to Dumps. And I usually right click and sort by date, though if it's the only time you've ever dumped files, you're going to have a bunch of stuff. But I recommend don't delete these, because next time you replace your car, when you sort by date, they should be at the top, all your new stuff. You won't have to dig. But we have to dig a little bit, so you have to scroll and keep an eye out for your paint scheme. And once you find it, you could hit F2 to rename the file, and then Control C to copy. And you go over these ones that say car to rename, large, medium, and small. So the car to rename, these last 4 digits you want to keep. So delete everything before that, and press Control V to paste your car file name from here. Now I'm going to delete the last 4 digits that I just had from that copy, and then do the same thing for the rest of them. So again, just select all this, Control V to paste, backspace 4 times, and now it has the correct name. And we're going to find my pit sign as well. It should be up here actually. Yeah, there it is. So here's my pit sign. Just copy that one entirely and F2 and Control V. So just the full name. You don't have to do anything extra like the last 4 digits. These two here, this one's for the pause menu stats. So when you go to race stats, you find yourself, oh, I guess I won't be because I didn't do a lap yet. But you find yourself in the pause menu or in the results screen and dump textures for a second, then you should find, it'll be a small icon. Let me show you an example. I just had them. It'll be a small icon like these, but with your custom career number. It'll be your 107 for me, or whatever your career number is by default. Now that's you'll have to do the same thing of copying that file name and then pasting it on this one, the car num stats. This is for the small menu. Now this one's for the career menu. This is for the main menu. So like where you see the standings, the race results. I know it's weird that it's offset, but that's how it has to be. That's just the size of that file. So that one you'll have to dump from the menu and find. But once you've changed these out, the only step left to do, if you watch, we'll go Settings, Game Properties, Graphics. And you can leave that open, this window open, when you're back and forth. But make sure you close it when you run the mod tool. The live tools sometimes sync up to this window instead of the game, which is a problem. But now you just uncheck and recheck your load textures, and there it is. And you can see our pit sign changed as well and updated. And that's it. That's all you have to do to dump that and replace those. Now your pit box is going to be solid black in this, unfortunately. That's just the way that I have the mod tool set up, so that you can replace that pit box as well, because the pit box gets generated based on your colors. And I have this as like a slightly off black, so it should be a unique file name. But I didn't make pit boxes for these cars, so it's just going to be a black pit box no matter what. Same with your driver suit and all those things will match those colors. But you can see this paint scheme's in here. It has DuPont on the hood, and yeah, that's all the steps you need to replace your car in career mode. Now, anytime you change anything, whether it's a sponsor or obviously don't go to the paint scheme menu and change your default paint if you're not using it. But changing that info, the color, the template, literally anything, your car number, any one piece of data changes, and you have to redo the steps of dumping those textures, because this file gets generated differently based on what the paint scheme is. So every time, like if this sponsor changes, this number changes, anything changes on this, it gets a brand new file. Alright guys, that's it for swapping out paint schemes for career mode, and that's it for the 1991 paints that I decided to throw in as bonus paints for you guys, so you have some options if you don't have the time or the patience or the skill or the money to pay someone to do it or whatever for a paint scheme. You can use one of these and slap a couple logos on it and go racing.